Hi everyone.
Hello everybody.
So here we are for webinar number 5 of the 4-week course, 5 webinars and 4 weeks. And Diana's with me. She's going to be looking after the chat. So that's great. So if you've got any questions as we go along, we've got tons of stuff for you because we're going to review the whole course and we're going to have some fun. We're going to do a distance session, but we're going to load it up as an upload. So hopefully you've got permission from someone to do that. So that would be really, really cool. Okay, and I've got some new ways of bringing all the theory together. So, yep, it's great to see you all back. And it's just been, I was just saying to Diana, this has been one of the most fun courses that I think I've ever delivered on New Energy Work. It's been so much fun working with you over the last few weeks. And it's basically what's happened now is we're going back face to face, and I've got my visor and I'm like working on clients. And do you know, the question I ask myself every time I do a session now in here is, am I having as much fun as I have when I do a distance session? And if I'm not, I do something about it. I do my alignment. I try and get into the field, you know, because it's so easy to get bogged down just with the physical body. You just got to keep working on that energy connection. And so I remember saying 3 or 4 months ago, wow, look, if we all start doing distance sessions for 4 months, we go back to face, it's going to be an amazing opportunity to get into the energy field. And that's exactly what's happened here. We've done hundreds of distance sessions, and we're just really excited to bring that back into our face-to-face work. Not only that, some of our clients don't want to come in, and so they actually prefer for us to do distance sessions or self-shiatsu supervision. Okay, cool. So let's get straight on with it. And so 20 minutes, you want to be ready to work, because hopefully 20 minutes, we're going to do some warm-ups and some tuning in exercises. And then in half an hour, you'll be working. If you've got a receiver, you don't have to do it synchronously. In other words, they don't have to receive it now. We're going to put it up into the field, and then they can download it later. And that's something I've done quite a lot of in the past. Okay, so cool. Let's see what the next slide is. Yep, so this is the course overview. We're here right now. We're doing the review and the Q&A, and we've been through 4 different webinars. We've got backup stuff on the online course for you, and we've had a couple of guests, which I'll talk about later. Okay, so the online course is still up. I think it's the busiest forum we've ever had. There's so many threads there, really interesting threads. So if you get a chance, just go in there and post or just read the threads. Yeah, go up there. You can download your certificate and you can get your 8-hour CPD from the course. So why don't you do that? That's cool. Right, so overview of the course. Why is it important to know about it? I've got certain things to say about that. We explored different ideas about distance healing, about how it could work, the scientific evidence, and then we looked at how to prepare ourselves, how to work with key development and different methods of treatment. So we're going to run through those today as we go through the practical work. Okay. Right. Okay. So as I know a lot of you have done distance healing, and I know right at the beginning of this course, I did a poll and I asked you whether you were already doing it. I think about 70% of you, something like that, were already or had already done it. So I would like to know now something about your distance healing work, and there's a poll coming up. Ready, people? So what I'd like to know is, did you do distance healing work before this course, or you started actually in this course, or you haven't tried it yet? So let's see. And just to see how much this course has changed your practice. And look at that. We've got like nearly a third of you have started doing distance healing in this course. And that's awesome. That really makes us happy that we've introduced you to something new. For those of you who haven't tried it yet, I really recommend that you do it. Maybe you're new to the course and you've just come in a bit late, but I really recommend you try it. It's really good for your practice, whether you decide to do it as regularly or not. It's really worth doing. Okay, so thinking about your distance sessions, everyone, those of you who've done it, most of you have, could you just let us know whether you think it's generally more effective than face-to-face sessions, about the same effectiveness, or generally less effective? Okay, so I've got that poll ready. How effective do you find them? Let's find out how you're doing. Okay, interesting. Okay, look at that. about half of you found them about the same, and nearly a third of you actually find them generally more effective than face-to-face sessions. Isn't that a bit of a surprise, isn't it? And then about a quarter of you roughly find them generally less effective. So that's a pretty amazing result, really, when you think about it. I know you can't really compare them because it depends a bit on what level you're working at. The type of client is also very important, but it just shows you that you are finding them very, very effective. And so, yeah, that's cool. Right. So let's just quickly review some of the theory of the course. I was surprised to find out when I did the research for this course that it's actually distance healing and things like distance healing are the most widespread form of complementary and alternative medicine in the UK and the US, and no doubt in lots of many other countries, unless it's banned, of course, which I know it is in certain countries, so we don't know. They're all working under the radar. And in the UK alone, in 2000, which is a long time ago now, there were 14,000 practitioners. So that's amazing, isn't it? Okay. And that comes from Distant Healing Intention, an overview of the scientific evidence, which is on the online course. Okay. Distance Healing Intention is what it's called. And of course, it assumes that it doesn't matter how far away the receiver is from the giver. Okay. So it comes with many names, different types of prayer, spiritual healing, auric healing, Qigong healing, Reiki. Reiki is a very popular one, and lots of Shiatsu practitioners are also Reiki therapists, shamanic healing, and all these different names. But essentially, they're different forms of the same thing. Right, okay, I've got a new graphics for you. This is actually it's actually adapted from Dean Radin's book, which I've recommended, called Entangled Minds, which is definitely worth a read. And basically, the idea is there's basically been 4 stages of development of culture, human culture. And if we start off in the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the sort of ancient age, that's before the Enlightenment. And we've got basically the magical age, where magic and other phenomena like that were just kind of part of everyday life. And the center of the brain-mind is the idea of the soul. And that means that distance healing was basically self-evident. People didn't really think about it. They just assumed that it was, because it was an everyday thing, they just assumed that it was something that kind of works all the time. And then we had the Enlightenment, we had the Scientific Revolution, and we had the Classical Scientific Revolution. That's around like Newton's time and before him. And during that time, that developed, the classical scientific model developed, and we had behaviorism coming in as the idea of the mind, which is kind of like a scientific objectification of the mind, which leaves very little room for any idea of an expanded version of consciousness. And that meant that basically any type of distance healing was deemed impossible. So then we move on to the modern information age, and that's basically where we are kind of like now, which is basically where evidence is mounting for effects that involve like distant effects on living systems, and that there is a lot of evidence that that is actually something that can happen. Also, there's more advanced ideas about consciousness, and then we've got the whole quantum physics thing, which throws the whole idea of space and time into another kind of reality. And so once that starts to happen, then it becomes possible. Now, a lot of your clients and a lot of people, the general public, will still be stuck in the classical industrial age in their mindset, and they will be convinced that it's impossible. And so it's really important to understand that. And Dean Radin also, I think it's really interesting because he projects forwards into a future age where things are integrated, and that's when evidence mounts, when consciousness raising becomes more prevalent. Maybe spiritual practice, mindfulness, all these things and qigong means that the general population start to accept that that's a reality. And with the scientific research, what that will mean is that we'll have like a mind-brain understanding, which will mean that it's required that type of effect is accepted. Now, that's really interesting because we kind of come around full circle, and we're kind of back in the, we come back to what was experienced in the magical age, the magical ancient age. And a lot of new age type practitioners tend to hark back to that magical age before the industrial age, and they kind of reference that. But I think it's really interesting to see this kind of development and to place things like remote sensing and distance healing and other consciousness raising things firmly in a future paradigm that's backed up by science and through personal experience. I think that's a really exciting diagram, and I adapted it from Dean Radin's book. So if we look at some of the other stuff that we've already done in the course and place it in that context, we have magical age. We know that a lot of traditional cultures still have some of those qualities of that magical age. So they have spiritual development, and healing is part of that. And so it's obviously self-evident for them that it works because it's part of their day-to-day experience. Okay, we know all about the classical industrial age, the idea of a clockwork universe, three-dimensional space, the observer outside of that universe objectifying it. And of course, distance healing is impossible in that worldview. Okay. Also, behaviorism, that makes a scientific view of the mind, means that consciousness is very much an unexplained phenomenon because we're objectifying the mind all the time. The best they can say is, well, it's a subjective thing that happens only in your head. Okay, so obviously that again makes it very difficult to understand how distance healing can work. And then we've got modern information age, we've got quantum effects, spooky action at a distance, wave particle duality, and Einstein himself thought that telepathy, for example, could be explained more by physics than by psychology. Okay, so we've got these different mind-to-mind connections. We've also got evidence of direct interactions between mind and matter. We've also got laboratory analogues, that's kind of like laboratory trials of things that are like distance healing, and they're called distance mental interactions with living systems. What that means is you've used the power of intention to change living systems at a distance. Okay, and there's been quite a lot of good research on that. And so those DMILS studies have definitely shown clear results. As we mentioned before, distance healing intention hasn't been shown very clearly to give reliable effects, but the studies are very difficult to design and they tend to be very generalized. So obviously more work needs to be done on that. Okay, but definitely in this age, the modern information age, distance healing is definitely a possibility. Also, remember this from way back in the first webinar. This is an important thing to remember, that spiritual and religious participation and belief does affect health outcomes. And there are over 1,600 studies, by the way, that show that those beliefs do affect health outcomes to such an extent that it's now conventional practice in Western medicine to make sure that those beliefs are supported, because they want their patients to get better, and they know scientifically that if people believe in that kind of thing, like prayer and things like that, and positive association with the cosmos and things like that, that will help them get better. Okay, so obviously we've got to support that in our clients. Okay, so now we went more into the practical side of it. And we talked about distance healing as being a spiritual practice. It's always been part of spiritual practice all through the ages, in the magical age and even now. Okay, it is an advanced technique and it's something you can develop through practice. And if you look at yogic texts, if you look at Buddhist texts, all these texts, you'll notice that distance healing and those type of psychic type of phenomena are part of the development, and they're all structured in there as a kind of everyday part of them. Okay. But that's not to say that it doesn't involve work on our part, on our behalf. We have to do work to get there. Okay, and especially for me, because I don't think I had any particular talent in that area. I had to really work for years and years and years. It was something that kind of slowly emerged. And unless you're really talented like that, most people have to work and work at it, and it slowly emerges. Okay. And look at this book. I found this book that Pauline recommended to me when I was over there. Or no, before I went, she said, hey, look at this book. And it was by a Sufi healer, Hazrat Inayat Khan. And it was really interesting because in that book, he gives you 3 requirements: faith in the theory that it's possible, self-confidence, so that you've got your key aligned, and the power of concentration. And we're going to do an exercise on that in a minute. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some practical work like we did last time. Well, I think we did this three weeks ago, so you may have missed this if you've joined the course a little bit late. And we're going to tune into our energy field on 4 levels, and we're going to see if we can quieten all those 4 levels down. And this is like a preparation exercise, okay? And what you can do is you can just, if you've got a piece of paper and a pen, you can just divide it up into 4 sections, very much like I've drawn on this slide, okay? And we're going to practice quietening our energy field down, okay? We'll see how we get on, okay? Ready? Okay, so let's, and I'm going to give you a couple of polls afterwards to see how you got on, right? So I'm just going to stop this and go full screen. Hey, right. So now I'm going to do it with you. I always like doing this exercise. It's a really good one, and you can just see how we tuned in and how our own energy works. Especially when we get to the treatment modalities, it's going to be an important part of what we're doing. Okay, do you want to work along with me? Okay, so you can sit or stand. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to tune into our 4 vibrational levels, and we're going to draw them, and then we're going to just see if we can quieten them down. Okay, so here we go. First thing to do is close our eyes, and we're going to scan into our energy field. So we're scanning our whole body and the space around us. Very good. Okay, so now I'd like you to, with me, I'd like us to tune into the physical level. And we're just going to scan through our physical level, and in a moment we're going to draw a picture of our physical energy. Okay, so we're just asking ourselves the question, what is our physical energy like? Okay, very good. So if you've got some words or some pictures, you can just open your eyes, and we're going to draw that in the first box here. Just put a P for physical. Okay, and just going to draw, or just very quickly sketch how we're feeling. If there's any blocks or anything like that, or any activity that you want to draw in your drawing. Cool. Okay, good. Okay, ready? So now I'm going to go up to the emotional level. Okay, so we're going to close our eyes. Ready? And now we're going to tune into our energy on the emotional level. Okay, very different, isn't it? Okay, so what is that like? And if you had to draw it, what would it look like? Okay, very good. Okay, so again, a nice quick sketch of how we're feeling emotionally. Okay, you can write some words in there if you need to, but drawing's good because it's quick. Okay, you don't have to be an artist or anything. Very good. Okay, so now we're going to go up one more level. So we're going to just align again. And we're going to tune into the thought level, the psychological or the mental level. So we're tuning into our thoughts. Okay, and if you had to draw that, draw your thoughts or the mental level, what would it be like? I'm going to draw that into the third one. We'll put an M there. Whoa, okay. Right. And now the spiritual level. Okay, so however you imagine you're on a spiritual level, we're going to tune into that. So again, sitting, relaxing, aligning, and tuning into our own spiritual level. And it's sometimes useful to imagine it around your body because that's kind of the shape of the aura, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, very good. And then we're going to draw a picture of that. Cool. Excellent. Okay, so you should have something like this, or hopefully not, because you're probably not such a mess as I am by this time on a Tuesday. But now we're going to try quietening each of the levels down. We're going to see if any of them are a little kind of easier or more difficult to quieten down. Okay, I'm just going to spend a few minutes doing that. I'll talk you through it. We'll do it together. Okay, so sitting and relaxing. We're going to float our head up and relax our sacrum down just to get a sense of the whole energy field. Okay, so tuning into your physical level. We're going to relax any physical blocks, breathe into them, and try and make your physical body as invisible as you can. So we're going to quieten that feeling down. Okay, got it? Sit, keep working at it, just keep quietening everything down, relaxing, releasing. Very good. Okay, right, so now we're going to go up onto the emotional level. Remember your picture? Remember your picture? Okay, we're going to go up into the emotional level. Got it? Got that feeling? Okay, so now let's quieten it down, relaxing, breathing. Okay, now we need to do this because when we're doing modeling techniques, we want to make sure that we know exactly what our stuff is doing and make sure we can make it quieter than the client, okay? So just keep working with it, keep calming it down, opening and calming. Okay, nice, very good. Okay, so now we've got the physical level and the emotional level kind of quiet. It might bubble up a bit, but we just breathe into it, relax. Very good. Now it's the mental level. So we're going to go up onto the thought level. Okay, and now we're going to calm the mind. We can just imagine it kind of calming, becoming like a still pond, all those ripples rippling across the pond, or waves even. Just going to calm it down. Very good. Okay, now just feel the physical, emotional, mental levels together. Just take a few nice, easy breaths and get that all quietening down nicely. Very good. Okay, and now we're going to go up onto the spiritual level. Remember that feeling that we had with that? It's not so much quietening really, it's more a case of just making it clearer, kind of make it as clear as you can so that we can resonate with the receiver. Okay, so we're going to go up to the spiritual level. Just notice if there's any distortions anywhere because of chakras or anything. We just want to get that whole layer nice and clear, quiet and clear. Okay, very good. So now let's just go through all the levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and just quieten them all down just together like that. Okay, very good. So if you've got your eyes closed, you can open them up now. And what I'll do is I'll just launch the poll. I'll get the slides back up here. Okay, I've got a couple of polls for you. Just want to know which was the easiest level to quieten. I'm just going to launch that poll just to see where you're at so that when we're working together, I can maybe direct you a little bit. What was the easiest to quieten then? Let's think. Interesting, very interesting. Okay, very good. You're very spiritually connected there. Okay, so basically it's fairly even, except the emotional, spiritual level are the easiest levels to quieten. Let's just see if there's anything particular you found difficult. Did you find any particular any level more challenging then to quieten down? Let's see. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I think we had a similar thing with this when we did it a few weeks ago, actually. It's the mind, isn't it? We need to get back into our do some more Zazen. Not surprising, because obviously you're processing, you're listening to me, I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to be doing next in the webinar, so it's hardly unsurprising there. Okay, interesting. Okay, so that's going to be interesting, and what we're going to do now actually is, which is a really good way of doing that. It's difficult to quieten the mind out, but what we can do is we can focus it, okay? And we're going to do this concentration exercise, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to concentrate on something with all your attention, and I'm going to see if you can do it for 30 seconds. And then I'm going to ask you to assess yourself with a poll, and we'll see how much you can hold your attention. Because it's like mental training. It's like a bit like Zazen again, or any type of meditation training where you focus your mind. You can focus it on one thing. It could be a koan or anything, right? Or a syllable, sacred syllable. But what I want like you to do is pick an object in your room. We're just going to pick an object. I'm going to pick something. I've got some nice flowers on my window box out here, so I'm going to focus on those flowers, and I'll see how well I can do as well. I'm going to literally check us 30 seconds with my stopwatch, and we're going to see whether we can actually I've got my stopwatch right here, whether we can actually maintain full attention so that our consciousness is focused entirely on that object. Okay, so if you picked a nice object, excellent. Okay, so I'll give you a countdown as well, so you know where you are. I'll watch it like this, and I'll see if I can do it with you. Okay, ready? Okay, so we're going to align ourselves. We're going to look at the object. We're going to quieten our energy field down so that we become invisible. And we're going to bring all our attention, so we're going to extend our consciousness out so that we're fully absorbed by that object. So it's almost like we disappear and our concentration is fully taken up by that object. Okay, ready? Here we go. From now. Okay. Keep your focus on that object. 20 seconds left. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and now you're going back into your own body again, all right? Align yourself again. And how did you do? Okay, I'm going to ask you how you assessed your level of concentration. I've got a poll, believe it or not, all ready for you. Okay, so how would you rate your concentration for those 30 seconds? Did you manage to get 100% concentration, or 75 to 99%, or about half the time you managed to fully concentrate, or a quarter of the time, or less than a quarter of the time? I know it's probably me distracting you with my countdown, but that's just a challenge to see whether you could keep focused. Okay, look, that's pretty good. Okay, pretty good. Most of you managed to, over half of you managed to keep between over 3/4 of the time you were focused. Okay, and that's something you can practice, and something that will definitely improve if you decide to take up doing distance healing. And that's one of the main, things I think that really helps. When you do start doing face-to-face sessions again, if you've done a lot of distance healing, it really does sharpen everything up. And that's one of the really kind of exciting things I think about it. Okay, we've just got a minute just to go through these. I'm going to just very quickly go through these slides. Remember, we talked about connection methods, using a surrogate, an object, a puppet, and we used a pillow, if you remember, to do the Hara. That's a way of connecting it. Lots of people use photos or client notes or anything, or maybe a phone call. Okay, and we talked about different methods of diagnosis and treatment. I'm going to run through those in the next few minutes. And when we did practical, I'm going to take you through them in a concrete way. Okay. The thing about Shiatsu, the Shiatsu way of doing this is it's not just like prayer where it's generalized in one direction, because what we do is we get two ways information, and we do that by remote sensing techniques. So we're basically doing like a kind of diagnosis treatment thing, okay? What information you get will depend on what your knowledge and experience is when you do face-to-face sessions. And, you know, if you're into the chakras, the aura, whatever, or just the meridians, it doesn't matter, whatever your level of focus is. And also it depends on what the client actually wants to tell you. Now, remember, Gabriella gave you some great ideas about working even physically, like with the fascia, working with the chakras. And Shakura mentioned setting up the key field, using mindset and information. Those two great contributions to the course. Okay, so in a moment, in a minute or two, we're going to do connecting, getting some information, and we're going to explore mindset and modeling. Okay, and then we're going to tune into the aura to get to see if we can get any information from the aura. Okay, we're going to be setting ourselves up, creating a connection, tuning into the receiver's key field. We're going to be sensing any information that we get, and that's going to be very much up to you and your client. I'm just going to give you some ideas, or your receiver. I'm just going to give you some ideas to look for. I'm going to look at the aura, the chakras, meridians, and maybe physical, emotional blocks as well. Okay, checking the Hara. Okay, amazing how much information you get at a distance from the Hara. We're going to be using mindset. We just practice that, focusing the intention, sending the information, imagining it's already done. We're going to try some modeling. I'll show you how to do that. Very important that you know where your own energy is at to resonate with the receiver. And then we're going to practice closing the session and finally symbolically ending the session, and we're going to upload it. Okay, so this is very different. Just this week, we're going to create the session and we're going to upload it. I'll show you how you can do that just with intention. And that means the receiver can download it whenever they want. Okay. So that's the practical. It's the practical time now. We're just 2 minutes over, but as it's going to be loaded up into the ether, it doesn't matter anyway. So that's fine. Okay, so hopefully you've got some space and you're ready to practice some of these techniques. You've got a receiver. If you haven't, you just have to watch me and show you the kind of things you can try as soon as you get someone to work on. Okay. So first of all, remember, Shakura told us how to set up the key field. Very important we do that. We're going to invite the client's or the receiver's energy into the space. Okay. So you need some space in front of you. We're going to do it standing up. If you prefer to work with them on the massage table or the futon, that's perfectly fine. If you want to use a pillow for the Hara, you want to practice that again, that's perfectly fine too. Okay, so you just have freedom to do it exactly the way you want to do it. I'm just going to take you through some of the processes irrespective of where you're at. Okay, so let's do that to have some fun together doing that. Okay. So first of all, we're going to clear our own energy field. So let's go through those layers again. We've got the physical body. We're going to release the physical body. We're going to quieten the emotional body down. And we're going to calm our minds and quieten everything down, quieten the energetic field down. Okay, got it? Now we're going to connect with heaven and earth. So we're going to imagine like a thread above our head and our energy going down into the earth. And that gives us a nice free feeling in our alignment. Okay. And now we've set up our own energy. And now we're going to use that cosmic alignment. Just like Shakura explained, we're going to expand our awareness out as far as we can in space and time. So we're going to create like a times vortex by imagining back into time, imagining into the future. And spatially, we're going to go out further and further out until we get that feeling of being in the void, in a kind of void space. Okay, so just spend a moment doing that, creating that feeling of expansion. Okay, got that? Okay, very good. So now we're going to set the intention up that this is going to be a stored session. So that's important because we don't want the session to affect them right now. We're going to imagine that this is going to be parceled up and placed out into the field, into the multi-dimensional field for them to download whenever they want afterwards, okay? Do that right at the beginning because we don't want anything we do now to affect them because it kind of smudges it, to kind of like blurs the session. Okay, so we want to contain it. So keep that feeling of the void. Complete emptiness. Quietness in our own field. Okay, so now we're going to think of our receiver, and you might have a photograph, you might have a memory of them, something that links you with them, and we're going to invite them into the space here. Okay, and we're going to wait, just wait until it kind of, the presence forms. Okay, now Gabriella described it as like a click, when you just feel it there. And it's just using your imagination to imagine them in front of you or on the mat, if you're working on that, or on the table. Okay. Very good. Okay. So now we've got them in front of us. Okay. And why don't we already just like create a feeling of connection with them? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to focus down on the earth star chakra, which is at the bottom of the field that connects with the earth. I'm going to go around like this. I'm just going to feel the shape of the aura like this. Feeling that's like the top of the aura there. Okay. And by doing this, sometimes you get a sense of the shape. You might find that there's certain places where it feels more active, and that often relates to one of the chakras. So it kind of does more than one thing. Okay, so you probably find that some parts of this are going to feel more active than others, and that gives you an idea of where there's activity in the chakras. Okay, how about vibrational levels? Let's try this. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is I want you to imagine their physical body in front of you, and I want you to resonate that with your own body. In other words, I want you to tune into your own physical body, quieten it down, and then have their physical body resonating with you, like, in other words, connecting with you. Okay, now if you scan down, like Gabriella does with her Boshin, you just imagine you're looking at the physical body. Does it all feel the same, or do you get a sense that there's certain places that are blocked? Or maybe weak? Okay. Good. Now we're going to go shift onto the emotional level. Quietening our own emotional level down, but becoming aware of it, resonating and connecting with their emotional level. So let's just see how they are with that. So we're scanning again, almost like Boshin, just scanning their emotional level. What's it like? Very good. Okay. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, they feel very different. So now we're going to go on to the mental level, the thought level, and we're going to imagine their thought body in front of us. Same thing we did with ourselves, quietening down our own thoughts, becoming aware of their mental level, of their energy. Okay, very good. Now, if you think it's you, not them, the way to do it is to actually calm down your own mind and then focus back in on them again, and just check that it's coming from them, not from you. Okay, and you might also again get a shape in the aura, you might just get a sensation, it can be all kinds of things. Okay, now the spiritual level, we can imagine the shape of the aura, tuning in on the spiritual level, again, clearing our own field, tuning into them. Notice anything? Notice any shapes? Okay, interesting. Right, very good. So now let's just do one other thing. Let's try the Hara, okay? So the Hara is quite a condensing compared to the chakras. So we need to just, again, align ourselves, bring our awareness into our own body, quietening our own field, checking that they're there, that you've got that connection. Again, you may be doing it on the futon, that's fine, or on a bed, or on a massage bed, that's fine. Doesn't matter, whatever. Okay, you may be using a pillow, again, doesn't matter. Okay, so now imagine the Hara in front of you. And this is where the power of concentration comes in. Remember when we were doing that focusing thing? I want you to hold that concentration on the Hara for, it's going to probably take about 30 seconds to do it, isn't it? So let's just imagine the Hara there and keep that focus. Got it? Okay, once you feel it's there, then we can palpate, and I'll do it with you, okay? Heart, gallbladder, stomach, liver, triple heater, lung, heart protector, spleen, kidney, bladder, large intestine, small intestine. Okay, very good. So now you can go back and just check to see whether there's any particular meridians that are strongly resonating. You may get Kyoen Jitsu information. You may just get, like Gabriella, just one meridian that feels more active. Okay. So now you've got a lot of information. You've got the shape of the aura. You've got physical, emotional blocks, mental qualities, and you've got an idea of the spiritual quality, and you've got meridians as well. Okay, so there's really a lot to go with. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to just pick a couple of things you want to work on, and we're going to use mindset and modeling. Okay, so let's start off with using mindset. So pick one of the levels, just pick one, resonate with that level, and then just think about one thing you'd like to have happen for them at that level. And then we're going to use the hands to connect with that level or with that part of the body. And we're just going to send our healing intention through our hands and focus on that area and work on it. Very similar to what you would do if you're doing a face-to-face session. Okay? Just like you'd use intention on a face-to-face session. The only difference is obviously you're doing it at distance. Okay, cool. All right, got that? Now let's see if you can keep that focus for another 15 seconds. Very good. We're going to come away, give them some space, and then tune in again and see what effect that's had on the whole feeling in the field. Okay, very good. So that's using intention, okay? We did it for 30 seconds. That was really good, okay? So now we'll try modeling, okay, which is a similar technique, but this time we actually use our own energy field to resonate with them, okay? So let's pick another level maybe, or you can stay on the same level. Pick something that you felt when we did all the scanning and the Hara. It could be a meridian, it could be anything, okay? And just ask yourself, what would you like to have happen? I'm just trying to find something myself. Okay, so I've got something. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is we're going to hold that area or focus in on that area. You can do it at a distance, distance like this, or you can actually just use your mind. It doesn't matter, resonating. Focus in on something. Get an idea of the level and the quality of it. Okay. And now strongly model in your own field what you'd like to have happen. And you can do this on different levels as well. So it could be calming emotionally, it could be releasing a physical block in your own body that resonates, or it could be calming your thoughts if it's some kind of mental level thing. Okay, or you might find some spiritual thing, you might find some connection with the soul star that you want to do. So let's just try that for a few moments, tuning in. modeling it, feeling what happens between your hands. Okay, very good. Okay, now you can go back and you can check to see what effect that's had. So we go back, we check the effects by tuning in again. Okay, very good. Okay, interesting, isn't it? Okay, do you want to do one other thing? We can do some meridian work. I'd like you to go back to the Hara. We did this way back in the second webinar using the pillow and the mat, working on the mat, but I'd like you to try it this way, or whichever way you're doing it. Pick a meridian, okay? Pick a meridian. What we're going to do is we're going to place one hand on the Hara, and we're going to see if we can check resonances between that meridian and anywhere in the body that you think might need some work on the emotional level or any level that's related to that meridian. Okay, so think of the meridian function on all different levels. Okay, so I've got the liver here, and I'm working around trying to find somewhere where it seems to resonate. Okay, and I'll just show you how specific you can get with this. If you tune into just the actual structure of the channel, or even a subo, so I'm now picking up one subo here, another subo. Just pick some subos on the channels, on that channel that you're tuning into. It can be any meridian. Okay? And just see if you can get a reaction here with the subos or on the actual subo points. Okay, and very often you'll find you get exactly the same sensation here that you do when you're doing a face-to-face session, especially when you're working on the higher vibrational levels. It feels exactly the same. Okay, and the reason for that is because a lot of the information that you pick up when you're working face-to-face is actually multidimensional information from the field. Okay, so very good. So we're just going to do that and just checking a few more points and just trying a few level points here. And I'm getting quite a lot of reaction with this one here. Okay, so that's an example of how you can get resonances with the meridians. I'm just checking gallbladder. Okay, very good. So now let's leave the Hara, step back a bit, scan in again. Very good. Okay, so now we're going to feel the whole session. And first of all, we're going to tune into their energy at the end. And remember what Shakura was saying about imagining that everything's already done, imagining that they're a perfect human being, just to get it as clear as you can. Okay, remember Gabriella's talking about connecting with heaven and earth. You might want to just connect with the central channel there, connect them with heaven and earth to finish up. Okay, so now we're going to parcel up the session. We're going to do it by opening up a time vortex 20 minutes back. We've been working for 20 minutes now. So I want you to think back in time 20 minutes until you get a sense of the time as being an actual structure. It's like a structure, the 20 minutes that we've been working. And wait until you get that feeling that those 20 minutes are encapsulated in the field, like it's kind of like in a bubble. You got that? Just using your imagination. And once you get that feeling that it's self-sustaining, you can leave it, and it has its own temporal structure. It has its kind of like its own time structure. Then you can just let it go and let it float off into the multidimensional, non-spatial space. Okay, so just watch it go up. Just let it go, cut your ties with it, Imagine it contained like a crystal ball, almost like a kind of crystal shape kind of thing, which has that time thing in it as well as the vibrational levels, and just let it go. Okay. And you'll know at the point where it's gone. It just kind of goes off and you know it's out there in the multidimensional space. And that means that they can just download it whenever they want. You just need to lie down and just accept it in, and they'll be able to get the whole session. Okay, and it'd be very interesting to see their experiences and how they experience it. My experience of doing them, it makes very little difference when you do these, loading them into it. But you've just got to be really clear. The intention has to be really clear when you place it up there. We don't really place it, you kind of let it go and it kind of goes off on its own. Okay, fantastic. Okay, well, that was really good fun. Again, I really enjoyed that. We've got some questions now. So I hope, let's have a look. Oh, we got 7 questions. That's great. That will keep us going until the end, I'm quite sure. So let's see. And I've got some exciting news for you as well, which no one else has heard about yet. It's exclusive news for you. Let's see how many people we've got. We've got about 100 people on, and you're probably going to be interested in what I'm going to say. Okay, so let's have a look at the questions. What have we got? Right, okay, let's see. By the newest, let's do it by the oldest, and I'll do the last one. I'll do the first one. Okay, how's the visor working, Tina? Okay, it's working pretty good, actually. It's a bit hot, but it's great because they can see your face. I really quite like it. This is Tina's thing about the visor. It's quite hot, but it means that they can see your face. It works pretty well. Okay, let's have a look. Right, let's have a look. Tina again. One of my clients really notices shift in her body, heat, vibration, release. My daughter really notices energy, heat, vibration, body. Another friend doesn't notice anything. When we have this challenge, how might we shift our grounding work approach to connect with them? Okay, yes, sometimes, I mean, it's just the same thing can happen in face-to-face sessions, to be honest. You know, you can do 2 sessions, the same session on 2 people. One person, it changes their life, the other one will go out and go, oh, I didn't feel that much. Okay, so a lot of it depends on the participation of the client as well. So you can set things up. I would say it's probably worth setting up, making sure that you get them really ready for it, make sure they're in a good environment. Maybe you'll do some exercises in tuning in, because some people are really not connected to their energy anyway. So it doesn't matter what you do, just whether you do a distance session or you do, you know, really heavy duty shiatsu face to face. They're not going to finish anything. They're not going to feel anything, and that happens face to face exactly. I would suggest setting it up as best you can. Some of my clients do things like they like to imagine they're here in this room. This is what they were doing during lockdown anyway, and that would help them get into that feeling. But I think you have to accept that it's not for everyone. Some people just don't get it at all. Have you looked at the work of Barbara Brennan? She was also a scientist. Yes, Barbara Brennan. Yes, she's another great one. There's so many books out there, Daniela, but that's Barbara Brennan is great. Yeah, Hands of Light. I love that book. Yeah, really good. So let's have a look. Karen, you had some pain. Low, hard to quieten it. That is tricky. When you get some pain there, it is definitely tricky. And the sort of kind of thing you need to do is almost kind of like detach from it for a while and just let it be there and accept that it's there. I think that's what it is you just have to kind of accept it. It's very much like doing meditation practice, where you don't fight it. You don't think, oh, you don't think it's something to get rid of. It's more a section of acceptance. Maybe that's probably a better way of describing it. More like an acceptance rather than trying to get rid of it. Anna's asked the same question about, we had this before, about can you do this practice with yourself? I mean, obviously you can do this tuning in thing. Whether you can load up your own session and send it to you and download again, maybe you should try that yourself. It's not something that I've tried. I suppose it's theoretically possible, but it's a bit like trying to do shiatsu on yourself. It can be effective, but only up to a point, I think, All right, this is another great question, isn't it? Like from Doe, like how many times can they download it? I love that. Wouldn't that be great? You could just put one up and The weird thing is though, and I've done this though, I've done series before. I've uploaded a series before they've been downloaded. The weirdest thing is, and this is like totally mind-boggling, is that the actual, because it's through the remote sensing research that you can read about, is that the weird thing is that they're not, if you do 3 sessions, try doing 2 distant sessions, one after the other, and they'll be very different. They'll feel very different. And it's kind of like one of those weird things where when they download it, it's almost like you knew what they were going to be like, or somehow your energy field knew what they were going to be like when they downloaded it, because time is like kind of weird and it's multidimensional. So it doesn't really work downloading a specific session, because once you've downloaded it, that is particularly for that time. Because I have actually done that. I've uploaded like 3 or 4 in a batch when I was treating a friend who was seriously ill, who I couldn't get to. And it was just amazing to feel how different they are. So yeah, I think they're only fresh once, but that's my experience anyway. All right, here we go. Linda got a lot of interference from electrical equipment and had to move away. Any suggestions on how I can stop this? Again, it's all to do with just tuning into your own energy field. Getting away from all that kind of stuff is really good too if you've got a neutral room. But a lot of it, again, is acceptance. If you can accept that, a bit like having a pain in your body or something, if you can accept it, you can kind of transcend it. Let's have a look. Right. Here we go. Catherine, any issues with connecting in with the client during the session before you've uploaded it for them? No, that's why you need to set the intention up right at the beginning to make it really clear. Otherwise, there's a chance that they'll start going, oh, what's that? So I think it's a good idea to make sure you have that intention really, really clear at the beginning. All right, this is a very good question, Cynthia. With modeling, how are you not taking on the client's energy? Very good question, okay? Because resonance is exactly the process that happens when you do take on people's energy, and we don't want that, okay? And the way you do it is by making yourself invisible. Remember that exercise that we did, quietening down? If you practice that, you become more and more invisible. And so what happens is when you do the modeling, you are in control of the information, because the thing is, you've got the client, you've got you, okay? You make yourself as invisible as you can. You model something that resonates with the client, okay? There is always a danger with any type of healing work. It doesn't matter if it's face-to-face, it makes no difference, that you can pick up information from them. And that's why we do all this preparation work and all these so-called purification practices in Shiatsu, because it's all designed to make sure that we don't do that, making ourselves clear, alignment, and all that, okay? So you've got to be really, clear about it, and then you won't have any problems. Okay, Almut, let's have a look. Is remembering similar to the download mode? Yes, it is. Yes, it's similar to that, because basically that's what they're doing. They're actually remembering you doing it, but they're remembering it through the multidimensional space. That's a really good point, actually. I'd never thought of it like that. Right, okay, Pam, final question, which is perfect question to finish on, Pam, is how does the client download the session? Okay, you just give them really clear instructions. You want it really clear. Okay, they have to prepare the space, okay, as if they're going to receive a session from you face-to-face or whatever. They have to protect that space, no interruptions, no phone calls, no dog on the, scratching at the door, jumping on them. They need to protect it and really make sure that they're not going to be disturbed as much as possible. They need to get into receptive mode. You want to get them to lie down, tune into their energy, relax, okay? And then what you do is you have to tell them really clearly, look, I've done the session, it's been uploaded, I felt it go up there, because you would have felt it just like I did there. I could see it going up, see it in inverted commas, okay? You have it there, and you just download it, and you just tell them what it's like. What it feels like is it feels like that special crystal thing that you put up there comes down, the reverse of when you did it, comes down or out or wherever from multi-dimensional space, and then the time space that you created, that 20 minutes or that 1 hour or whatever it is, will start. It's just like triggering that memory thing, exactly like Almut said. It's a bit like memory. It's a memory in the field. So yeah, that's it. What a great question. And then we've got one more. Okay, here we go. I had a surprising sensation that I didn't feel was me. I felt it was to do with them, and I used that as information for what they needed. Use that, but how can I be sure? Okay, Jane, you can't ever be 100% sure. But just in the same way that when you do a session face-to-face, you can't either, because you are forming one kind of quantum vibrational system with a client. And so that's why you need to have very clear intention. You can do all these techniques, you can't guarantee 100%. But it sounds like you did exactly the right thing to minimize the chance that it was yours, okay? But it's one of those things. You just have to trust and do your best, okay? And minimize the chance of anything happening. Okay, we're 1 minute over, Dinah. Oh, I just wanted to ask the one question because it's right at the end of these webinars. I just wanted you to just maybe rate them for us. So could you just rate this series of webinars, or as many as you've seen? Okay, 5 is the highest, 4 is the second highest, and then 3. Well, if you didn't like it at all, you can score a 3, 2, or you can give us a 1 if you like. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Look at that. 80% of them thought it was a 5-star event. I'm really happy about that. I tell you, I've had so much fun. Thank you so much, Dinah, for all your work on the chat. I'm going to look through it after the event because so much was happening. There's no way I could keep up with it all. And I'm going to put a great big thumbs up to all of you for being with us over the last 4 weeks. It's been so much fun. And good luck with your work. We've got a very exciting announcement, though, which is we have been, the European Shiatsu Congress has asked us to put on an online event. We're going to call it the International Shiatsu Congress Online. We've already done one 8 years ago. You might remember that. And it's going to be in October. We'll tell you all about it later on. But watch out for that. The 9th, 10th and 11th of October, it's going to be a big international online conference in partnership with the European Shiatsu Congress. You heard it first. We only found out this week that we're doing it, so we're really excited about that. Yeah, this is the last one before the summer break. Anyway, this is the last thing before the summer break, and so we'll all be in touch with you. And it's been, I guess, this is really a feeling that we've got through COVID. Really, we've got through the worst of the COVID thing together. And I really want to thank everyone for their participation, and thank you also for your generous donations. That's actually helped us survive. If you haven't donated, or if you're not a regular donator, it would be great if you could afford anything. We literally are just hanging on. We're just managing to pay the bills, and that's we've done it with your help. So if you can afford anything to help us going, all our material at the moment, all our paid content is free, as you probably know. Okay, but we also know that you're probably having a tough time like us, and we quite understand if you can't do that, can't help us out. Any questions, go to support, or you can email us, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye, everyone.